Well, hi everybody. I hope most of you know me. My name is Mark Aldridge. I'm the independent running for the Ramsay district. I'm here today to announce to you all that I'm going to do my preferencing and let you know how I'm doing that in front of you. The preferential system is antiquated. It is a system that takes away your right to free choice. It means that if you don't like me, if you don't like any of the candidates, even if you don't know some of the candidates, you have to preference them all. I find that offensive, and I find it particularly hard when access to information and the ability for the people of Ramsay to phone and talk to each candidate is a near impossible task. Many people have taken that to task and phoned me and found that even themselves find that this system makes it very hard. So I'm going to go through the candidates now and let you know what I think and where my preferences will go. But I would ask you all that if you wish to vote for me, put a 1 in the first box. I drew box 1 on the ballot paper, and then fill in the rest of the ballot paper to suit your agenda. Obviously, that may be hard, you may not know what to do, but the preference that I'll be drawing today is not what I'm asking you to do. In the polling booth there will be information about how I've done my preferences, and I'd like you to know how that's been done. Dodgy backroom deals between candidates, between political parties, is not something that should be a part of our democratic process. So I'll just go through. Number 1, Mark Aldridge, that's myself. Now, I'm a local community guy. I've been in the area all my life. This particular election for me is very hard because it's my community. My mother is the mayor. My name is very good in the area, and I'd like to keep it that way. In the past, yes, I have run many times before. The reason I've run in the past for the upper house and for the Senate is that I've never actually thought that I had a chance of winning. For someone like myself on my finances to somehow get to 1 million voters in South Australia and know what I stand for is not something I can achieve. The reason I've run in the past is that it's important to me that I get a voice and that I can try and do the very best I can. And I've held rallies on numerous issues, particularly disabled. I find it offensive that we can't find just over $1 million to look after our disabled people in terms of the children that need things like wheelchairs. To have anything called a critical waiting list offends me. When we seem to be able to find millions and millions of dollars for other subjects. But that's not what we're here to. I'm not here to sell myself, but I am one of the candidates. The next candidate on the list is Ruth Beach. She's from the Greens. I've met Ruth. She seems like a nice lady. To be honest, I've been on their website. Some of their policy directives are excellent. I'm a staunch environmentalist, but I have a couple of problems with the Greens, and I'll be honest. They have some good policies, but they also have some bad policies. I'm not interested in social engineering. I think we're quite able to be able to make our own decisions in life. I do not want a one world united government, which the federal Greens are looking for. I think that will be even worse for democracy if we don't get to choose who makes the decisions for our country and for ourselves. The other issue is full-term abortions. There's no way in the world that I could live with full-term abortions. So I'm sorry to say that the Greens are going last on my list. Number 1, of course, will be me. Mark Lena. Mark Lena is from Free Australia. Free Australia are a fledgling political party. I'm not sure myself from meeting Mark that he has the ability to go into Parliament for you with a staunch background in politics and be able to do the job that I think needs to be done for my community. Although that said, their policy directives are reasonably good. They grew up around the anti-biker legislation, which I was particularly an opponent of. I do not believe that if we have policy to address criminal actions, that it should take away the rights of any person to self-defence in a court. So I'm not sure where to put Mark. I have spoken to Free. Free Australia will be putting me low on their rankings, including having someone above me that would preference Labor, which is a bit of a fear. So I'm going to put them in the hat. Trevor Grace. Trevor Grace is pro-life. Now, my wife and I are pro-life. I'm particularly pro-life. My wife spends, and she's doing it right now out there, every 2 hours she'll get up and feed baby animals to make sure they survive. I have to say that I am pro-life. Trevor's not a local, he's not in the area. I do not know any other policy directives he has for my community. So I can't throw him in the bin, and I also must preference him. I'm not sure where to preference Trevor. I do appreciate the pro-life, but I do understand that when we address things like pro-life, there are issues at times where limiting the ability of someone to make a free choice is also awkward. So I must admit, I'm jumping both sides there, so I'll put that in the box. Christopher Steele. Christopher Steele's from the Liberal Democratic Party. I believe their hat is in the ring here in the local community because of the word Liberal in their name, in the absence of a Liberal candidate. I'm concerned that people will vote for the Liberal Democratic Party simply because of their name Liberal. To be honest, support a majority of the LDP's policies, although they are open slather. In other words, they allow the sale of our land, our assets and our farms to offshore ownership and overseas investment, and there are no checks and balances in their policy. In other words, if China wants to come here and buy land, then if we are to embrace that as a policy directive for our state and country, then I should be able to go to China and invest in that, and I can't. So Christopher Steele, I'm afraid to say, goes second to last on that note alone. And there has been issues with the actual preferencing and phone calls from their party that have been less than democratic and quite abusive, and threats to my family. Will somebody last? My apologies there. And that wasn't threats from Christopher Steele. He's a reasonably good man. Zoe Bettison's Labor. Labor have had 26 years or longer in this state, particularly in this particular arena here in Ramsay. I think they take it for granted. I haven't seen Zoe speak. I haven't seen her on the streets. I do not like Labor's policy. Labor's conduct at the 2010 election, dressing up as other parties, registering the opposition leader's name as a reply paid address to intercept your mail, playing dodgy practices right across the board is not good enough. Their false promises have just gone too far at a federal level and a state level. I just cannot back Labor. So I'm putting Labor third to last. Chris Walsh. Chris Walsh, I met Chris the other day. He's from One Nation. He is a lovely young lad. I have full respect for his beliefs and wanting to support the electorate. One Nation, I was involved with One Nation back in 2006. I have to admit that I was involved in some of their policy rewriting, and I believe that, to be honest, they're on the right path, but I think they're antiquated as a party. The media destruction of the Pauline Hanson name, and whatever your views be on Pauline Hanson, this is no longer Pauline Hanson's party. This is One Nation party. I have absolute respect for a lot of their members, which are elderly people that understand and see quite clearly what's happened in our country and our state, and want to stand up for change, but I don't think they're able to do that. And so I'm going to put Chris's name in the hat. So far I have myself as number one. I have the last three being Labor, LDP and the Greens. Now I'm asking you to follow this, okay? I have to put in a ticket in an hour's time, and so when you go into the polling booth you will see what I've done here today. I think really what you should be doing is doing your own investigations and taking your vote, which is precious and one of the few rights you have left in this country, and making sure you do the very best with it. I'll now look away and grab a name out of a hat, and I've pulled out Chris Walsh, so he will be my number two. Mark Lena, I pulled out number three, and Trevor Grace number four. So my preference sheet will read as this: Mark Aldridge number one, voice of the community; Chris Walsh from One Nation; Mark Lena from Free Australia; Trevor Grace from, I think it's Independent No Abortion; Zoe Bettison, Labor; Chris Steele, LDP; and Ruth Beach, Greens. I hope that you take a little bit of time to see who these people are. If you want change, I believe I'm the lead candidate in this area. My name is extremely well known, and I know that if you wish to look into what my wife and I have done for the community for the last 12 years, You can simply Google Mark M. Aldridge or Mark Aldridge Independent and a subject of your choice. I have a website, www.markmaldridge.com. I also have a very strong interest in changing the electoral system so issues like this you don't have to face, which is howtovoteitsa.net. Please do the very best you can. I hope and pray that we get the best candidate to represent you in this area, and I must admit I'm having trouble choosing between these names myself. We have an absence of the Liberal Party. We have an absence of Family First. We do not have Dignity for Disability. They are the sorts of people that I would be more concerned with sharing my preference, and they're not running. You have a choice now. If it's me, thank you. If you think that some of these people here can do a better job than me, fine. What I would suggest you do is not look at what the parties have decided in the back rooms. If you prefer one of these players, put them first, and then put me second if that's where you wish me to be. But either way, it's your job. It's your job, and it's a very important one because it's about your community, it's about your state, and it's about your children's future. So please do the very best job you can, and let's hope that the outcome of this election is by way of the closest we can get to a free will of an informed electorate. If you vote for me, understand this: I will oppose full preferential voting 100%. Other states don't have it, and I don't think we should have it. I should not have to pass my vote or your vote onto people that I do not like, and that's even if that's based on an informed decision. It doesn't matter. The fact is, we should have that freedom of choice, and we should have better access to who the candidates are. Until that happens, I will be in there fighting, whether you vote for me or not, for the community and to change the electoral system as it stands. Thank you.